Hey everybody, and welcome to Real Supernatural Encounters. Today, for my guest, I have Andrew. And before we get to his encounters, Andrew, could you give a brief bio about yourself?
Yeah, I'm 32. Um, live in Michigan, United States. Yay. um, I'm a father of one, beautiful little son. Um, also an empath, kind of medium. I don't know, somebody said as a medium, said as empath medium. I'm like, I don't know about the medium part, but empath for sure. Um, yeah, that's about it.
All right. Well, Andrew, if you're ready, man, you go ahead and start with your first experience. Just tell all your stories from there.
All right. Well, first experience started when I was 4, and that is the uh, spiritual abduction
Okay.
chapter. That's why I like to call it. So I was laying in bed, uh, nighttime, probably about 8, maybe 8:30. Probably right around when I fell asleep. Felt fine when I was laying before I laid down. Nothing new. Um, and I was about 4 years old. Woke up next morning. I was at my grandma's house, laying in her couch in the living room with my blanket from home, my pillow from home. No idea how I got there. My grandmother didn't have any idea how I got there either. So I figured she would know at least. It's her house.
Yeah.
Maybe my mom brought me here or something that night. I don't know. That's what I was thinking at least. And so me and my grandma were talking, trying to figure it out. Have no idea. She calls my mom. My mom doesn't really remember this either. My grandma is the one who remembers this. And I remember this. But my mom doesn't remember this. She was on the phone with her, trying to talk to her. Did you drop Andy off last night or this morning or something? She goes, no. He should be here. He's like, he's here in his bedroom sleeping. She goes and checks my bedroom. I'm not there. The blankets aren't there. My pillow's not there. So, and I felt weird. It didn't feel right. I didn't think that it was like necessarily an alien abduction, though it does kind of come off that way, I feel like. But the reason why I feel that now that it was more of a spiritual abduction rather than a alien abduction is the fact that when I moved into my grandmother's house, or anytime I went over to my grandmother's house, I've always had these bad vibes. I get these dark vibes. Either it came from the attic or it came from the basement. The worst of it was in the basement. That's the worst feeling. And stuff happened at my grandma's house and everything that now that I look at, I go, okay, if I would have looked at it from this point of view back then, I probably would have been able to take care of this a long time ago.
Yeah.
But it was the creepiest, craziest thing. It never happened again after that. It only happened one time.
Hmm.
But after that, my next actual encounter was the Dark Protector chapter of my life, where I actually came in contact and actually got to see this full figure. At least what I believe to be what it what it was actually looking like at the time. I went into my mom's room. I was about 7 years old. Went into my mom's room. Sat down in the closet, and they had this kind of the mirror backboard of a dresser. So it was like a big mirror. It was in the closet. They weren't using it at the time. And it was facing, the mirror was facing outward, so you could look at it and see yourself. And I shut the door, turned the lights off, sat down with my Casper doll that had glow in the dark eyes. And at first, I kind of figured maybe it was from the Casper eyes, just the reflection.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that, because it didn't look like that. But I sat down and I just held my Casper doll tight, and I was like, is anybody there? 7 years old. This doesn't sound to me like something a 7-year-old would just go out and do.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept saying, hello, hello. And then finally something appeared in the mirror. Now the lights are off. Can't really see any reflection other than the Casper doll eyes. Set of eyes appeared. And they kind of look gray, kind of just tired looking eyes.
Mm-hmm.
The nose, it almost pointed. And then just the mouth appeared with fangs. Kind of vampiric kind of looking, but it wasn't, it didn't come off to me as like, ooh, a vampire. It could have been, because there are spirits that are just life force suckers that are vampires. But I looked at it and I was like, it wasn't looking at me, it was looking around, shifting its eyes back and forth, just looking around. And I was like, hi, I said my name, I'm Andrew. Are you gonna hurt me? Are you nice? And it looked at me, smiled, or at least grinned. I wouldn't say smile, grinned, but it didn't come off threatening. And it just kind of looked at me, and I watched the face just turn. And it turned around, and you could see the back of its head, and it just went away. And I believe that it came back. And like every time after that, this was also after what we talked about before we started the show.
Mm-hmm.
But this happened after that. Anything that happened, say necessarily bad spiritually to me, or that was going to happen to me, it would intervene. Like if I started feeling really sick, it would take, like an unnatural sickness, it would take it from me and then attack whatever that was there, making me feel that way. And that only happened from time to time. Like I would get random, like when I got appendicitis, which I honestly think maybe this thing caused it.
Yeah.
Because it stopped protecting me and started draining me. And I got appendicitis. I was about 13 years old. And like I just felt, it felt like I felt like a feather just slowly floating down. That's what it felt like. And I was just, whether I was sitting, standing, or lying down, it's how I felt. And I would have pain in that area. But this image of a hair, just a single strand of hair, just slowly falling. And it was showing just how I felt. Went to the hospital, had surgery, got removed. I never felt that ever again, but I did feel drained a lot more often afterwards. What was next? It was
You also,
okay.
yeah, the
Flying
flying
bone.
bones. Mhm.
Okay, I'm getting excited for this one. So excited for this one. Love telling this one. This one happened about 24, maybe 24, 25. Me, my friend at the time, which we're no longer friends, and another friend of mine, went over to his mom's house. And we were helping out with the garden and some lawn stuff because they're his mom and stuff. They're older, very old, and we can't really do the lawn, take care of the lawn, mow it or whatnot. So we came over to help. No problem. We'll help a 10-year garden too, so you don't have to do too much. Well, we stayed all throughout the day. It was at nighttime, had a little fire out back, and we're smoking. 420. Whatever, we'll smoke. So we're smoking by the fire, drinking some pop, just talking, just laughing, telling jokes. And for some reason, I think the time was about 10 o'clock, maybe 10:28. We look up for no reason. All of us just look up. We didn't hear any sound, anything, like nothing. Everything just kind of went dead silent, other than the fire. And we look right up, and there's just this rib cage. I kid you not, and it's huge. It's like 5 feet. It's like a 5 foot wide span rib cage, and the wingspan, you could see wings, and it was the bone structure of what it would look like, and there was no head. The spine didn't go extend further than the rib cage itself. It ended there, other than the tail end. The tail end extended out like a tail, and it looked just like a bird almost, but it was the whole rib cage, and this thing was huge, and it was literally just above the tree line in his backyard. And he's told me multiple times, like, dude, we've had UFO encounters or something like that. They think it was UFO. It could have been. It could have been just interdimensional or spiritual. Like, I believe a lot of that crap. I believe a lot of this. And I'm like, okay, well, it kind of looked transparent too. Like it was not fully materialized, or fully materialized into our area or space. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
But it was just floating. It was very slow. Like we were yelling up to it, try to see if we could get this thing's attention. It wasn't slowing down. It wasn't going any different. Even the density of it, like we took some rocks. We thought it would be a good idea to see if maybe if we threw something solid at it, it would tink off of it or something, make a noise. We threw some handfuls of rocks. It just went through it and dropped right back down. We were kind of freaked out. We didn't know what this was at the time. We were like, is this a dinosaur spirit, or is this an elemental? Is this something dark, evil? But we didn't feel like, I didn't feel, at least, I didn't feel anything evil coming from it, nothing dark coming from it. It didn't feel like it was something that or like a residual where it would replay every so often. It didn't come off to me like that. It came off like interdimensional, maybe
Hmm.
something that was in our space but not fully manifested. And it didn't feel threatening. I felt something telekinetic, or I don't,
Telepathic.
yes, telepathically speak to me, don't do that. When we were throwing rocks. And I was like, okay, it's like, I'm sorry, we were just trying to figure out if it's real or you're just a figment of our imagination. And then it was gone. It faded away.
Hmm.
It was that was probably one of the craziest, closest UFO moment I have ever had in my life. That really, it didn't shake me. It blew my mind. It
Hmm.
made me open. I was already religious, or believed in religion, but also at the same time I was questioning that. But I had too many things happen to me to make me go, okay, everything is obeying some type of rule of law
Hmm.
to some extent. I'm so open now about that. And this also occurred during the time when I was living at my grandma's house. So, and that's the next chapter, is my grandma's house. So I was kind of going back and forth between my mom and my dad at the time. They were never together. They never married, nothing like that. They weren't together when I was born, but at least I got to meet him, and
Hmm.
he was been in my life ever since then. And I was 4. And it's always the number 4.
Hmm.
Always the number 4. My lucky number always shows up as 4. I think that number 4 has a big meaning in my life.
Hmm.
Um, then, so I moved into my grandma's. She also wanted company. Her and my grandpa weren't together anymore, and she felt lonely. I was like, yeah, I can,
Hmm.
move in, help take care of the lawn, the house. If anything you need, I can come be there to help you. She's a very good person, very open. A lot of some of my friends have moved in, when they needed help to live somewhere for a moment, temporarily, so they can move somewhere else, which has happened about 5 times. But moving into my grandma's house, I moved into the attic, and it was a place I didn't like anyways to begin with. I always had a bad feeling, but not like scary like it was in the basement.
Hmm.
But you go up there, you would hear things running around I figured, because it's the roof, squirrels, animals, wildlife running across, and you would hear that. And you would look outside and you would see them scampering around on top of the roof. So I would have to, a lot of the time, I would just shrug it off as that, until it was inside behind the walls, where it was kind of like the rooms came up to, like, here's the roof. So
Hmm.
here's the inside of the room too. It came into a triangle, and it would go out so far, and then it would go straight all the way down.
Yeah.
And there were attics, so 2 attics,
Hmm.
attic entryways, one over to the left, one over to the right, and that's how you would get to all the insulation and
Hmm.
anything that was put back there, if it was put back there. We didn't have anything put back there.
Hmm.
I did check the insulation actually quite often through the years to make sure there was no leakage, none of it needed to be replaced, nothing was rotting, no animals got in. There were no animals that got in there other than the time that I opened the window and the bird flew in. dumb bird. I got it to fly back out, but it took like an hour to get to do. But there was nothing in there in either one of the sides. You would hear like scratching on the wall behind you, and it would, no matter what side of the bed I put, or side of the wall I put the bed on, you would hear it behind you directly, and it would only be some like 3 scrapes. My girlfriend at the time would hear this too a lot, and it scared her. Like she felt actually literally scared to be there to stay with me, and I shrug it off as it was just animal stuff. Now, no, I honestly believe it was something dark. Whatever was attached to me, it was crazy. Whatever was attached to me was also affecting like my grandma, anybody that was living there too. We had many fights, many arguments, mostly that didn't feel natural. I felt like manipulated. Like I would get angry for the dumbest thing. My grandma would get angry over the dumbest thing. We would argue. We would apologize, but it would linger. That uneasiness would linger for a while. My mom would feel it whenever she came over, especially in the basement. We'd always get bad vibes in the basement. We don't even have access to that house anymore because she did pass away. What was it, last year? No, 2 years ago, Mom? 19. October 2019 when she passed away. From cancer. But I also believe we believe, me and my mom both believe that it has something to do with the entity there. It was not. We believe it was been feeding off of her and me and just anybody that lived there. Anybody that can't come over, feed off of us.
Yeah.
Really it damaged her more than it damaged me. Still did a number on me. But now I have something that I know exactly what it is. I know exactly what it looks like. And it's been following me this whole time. My whole life. It's been watching me, and it's what was in my grandma's house from the get-go, from when they moved in. And it affected my mom, but it never really presented itself to my mom or anybody else really in the family as what it actually showed me. I call it MOPS for short. It doesn't give itself like a legit name. It's more of a title. And it calls itself like Master of Puppets. And the reason why it calls itself that is what it is. It's an actual, those what is it, sketch dummies, the wooden sketch dummies that the artists use. It looks like that, but it's like a cylinder type cylinder head, and it's rounded, but it's shiny like what the wood looks like. And it has piercing gem-like violet eyes. I could paint it for you. I'm not an artist. I could paint it for you.
Yeah.
It's very vivid. It's stuck it's embedded in my head. This thing when it finally showed itself to me, this was back in this is back in when I lived in Ramblewood Apartments. It was messing with me the most, but it was also messing with my kid and my fiance at the time, which is his mom. And I had my mom come. There were multiple spirits. Ramblewood is like one of the most haunted apartment complexes I've ever lived in. We had 5 or 7 spirits surrounding him, just my son alone, just circling him all the time. We got kosher salt. I think kosher salt works the best. Outlining everything. They couldn't get in his room. They tried. We had a camera in there. I salted around the camera. I put an actual like oval dent into there so it matches the rest of the room.
Mhm.
It tried. We had the Alexa set up in the bedroom so we could watch from Alexa, and we had a camera in his bedroom hanging up on the wall pointing down, and I had it salted around it. I had his crib salted. I had everything salted. I was not having it.
Mhm.
It tried real hard to get into his room. Since it knew that it couldn't go through the walls, it couldn't enter through the closet, it couldn't come through this door, it couldn't come through the windows. It tried to come through the Alexa, and through the camera, and into his room. It tried really hard. It was messing with it. We were sitting there, and Alexa was just glitching, flipping out on the screen, and I hear just this frustrated come from the screen. It wasn't from his room. It was from the screen. And we're sitting there, me, fiance, my sister, who is also an empath, and she struggles with it too. Sometimes it's really hard to control our emotions at times, especially if we can't sort out which is ours. She's seen it, and then she's seen it moving, darting around. It was like shadow figure. And then it ended up that night possessing me when we were trying to catch it and force it out, trying to trap it in one spot and force it out of our apartment. But instead it ended up possessing me. I ended up sitting down on our bed. And like my sister and my fiance, they're like, "You look like a puppet." Like they're like, your face kind of started making little features of a puppet.
Mhm.
And my sister said it could see it standing behind me and taking the form of me, like it was trying to possess me and take my life and live my life.
Mhm.
And it's possessed me a few times. And every time I will either have remember what happened, or I would not remember what would happen. But this whole thing, when it possessed me, I had to fight it. I felt it inside me, trying to take full control, and it was trying really hard to take full control. It was infatuated by me. Like it literally had feelings for me. It was weird. I don't have feelings for it. except go away feelings. It was weird. I don't, it's weird. It's not something you really ever want to experience. At least I feel that way. Don't
Mhm.
ever want to feel it again. But yeah, it would take control over me. They said a prayer and put their hands on me. And I felt it just shift from me and go downstairs. I watched it shoot itself down the stairs, down the hallway, down the stairs. And then that was that for that night. What happened the next day? I went to work, and this is one of those times where it possessed me, and I was at work, and I'd have no recollection. No, I'm missing an hour of work time. I don't remember anything during that time I was at work, that whole hour, until later on. So I was at work, doing what I was doing, packaging, going through stuff, and all of a sudden I just feel just like, ugh, I need to sit down. I feel drained. And I thought maybe I was just overworking, but like I was like, no, there's no way. It's like there's no way I've been overworking. I wasn't working like overtime hours terribly or anything like that, and my job wasn't really that hard at all. And I'm sitting down, and I'm just like looking, just like holding my head, and I black out. That's all I remember until I'm standing in the bathroom. How the hell did I get here? So I just, I'm like, what? Okay, whatever. Get out of the bathroom, scratch my head, go back to my area, and start back working. And apparently nobody came by. Nobody was like, hey, where were you? Or anything like that. Normally somebody would come by if somebody noticed I was missing. Nobody noticed I was missing. But I had where is that? I still have this guy right there. I don't know if you can see it that well. That's like right in between those lines. I ended up taking a razor and cutting my hand, and it caused me to perform a blood ritual that I have never even thought about. I've never, like, these symbols that it put on there in my blood were demonic, they were evil, and they were not in any way, they were made in the form to develop an attachment or create a portal there and keep me attached to it. I had a dream 2 days after I did that to myself, and it was of me doing it. Like, it was like something sent me that, or unlocked that memory and turned it into a dream. And I was dreaming of what happened. I cut my hand, took a knife, cut my hand, grabbed a piece of paper, put blood on my finger, started doing the symbols on it. And then it was drawn on it with pen of the symbols as well. So not only was it in ink, it was also in blood, overlapping each other. And then I was in the bathroom, and showed me putting it up in the ceiling tiles and then placing the ceiling tiles back down. So that next morning I was like, I'm gonna just check just to see, just make sure, because like if that did happen, at least I'll know. and then I'll know what I need to do about it. My fiance at the time was making moon water, which is like a healing type thing. It's a light work type deal.
Yeah.
We're not into witchcraft. We're not into I'm not into any of that. She's not really into any of that. We just like to have the necessarily positive things that we could use to protect ourselves, especially after that night.
Mhm.
We were about getting anything and everything protective that we could use to heal ourselves, and protect ourselves and our son, which worked for a while. It really kept everything at bay around him, which was really nice. Like even good spirits, like it even kept good spirits at bay. Like if we didn't want anybody going into his room, nothing could go in his room that wasn't a physical being.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we put I went to work, did some work. I waited till break. Or no, I waited till shortly before break. I went into the bathroom, went into the same stall, same area, same bathroom area, pushed up the same ceiling tile, moved it over to the side, reached over, was looking, feeling around. I felt something. I grabbed it, pulled it out. It was the paper that had everything on it. And I just dropped it.
Yeah.
I just dropped it and was like, fuck. Sorry, pardon my language. That's exactly what I said. That's all I could say. And I put the ceiling tile back on, grabbed the paper, folded it up, put it in my pocket, brought it home after work. I let everybody know what I was doing with it before I came home so we could prepare to, um, prepare to remove the blood, remove the attachment,
Mhm.
seal it up. What I did was we got a bowl, put it in the bowl, poured kosher salt on it. What the kosher
Mhm.
salt is, and you can get it anywhere at Myers, Walmart. It's all it is salt that's blessed by a rabbi. All kosher salt is blessed by a rabbi. I was like, awesome, perfect. Grab that, pour that on it, and we added moon water to it. And moon water cleanses things. So like it doesn't matter how negative it is, it will cleanse it. And it's mostly just water that is, you can either bless it if you want to, or you can just make sure it's clear water, it sitting in a clear jar, sitting in moonlight all the time.
Mhm.
So like even if it's being removed from sunlight, put it in a dark spot, let it sit there, and then when it's nighttime again, the moon's out, put it out in the moonlight, and it just absorbs all that moonlight. And moonlight is what we call like moon tears,
Mhm.
hence moon water. Well, the light is from the moon is pretty sensitive in a spiritual way, that it removes negativity. As long as you're putting that intention into it, it will do that. So we're doing that, pouring the water on it, we're pouring the salt on it, mixing it up, putting my intentions into it. I ended up taking a salt bath right afterwards, and it hurt. What we did was we put 4 white candles on each end of the bathtub, lit them, filled it with just regular bath water, poured the kosher salt in there, mixed it up, said a few prayers, prayed for protection, release. I asked God, or I didn't just pray to God. I prayed to the universe. At
Yeah.
this point, like I was just, everything is connected. Everything has some pull and push.
Mhm.
So, I prayed to all that. I felt like a light being came and just it zoomed, it zoomed over the bath, and you could see the fire in the candles flickering quite rapidly, and then it disappeared. So, and I got in the bath, I laid it, and it stung. The second I put my foot in, it stung. I felt my body burning.
Hmm.
I was burning. Spirit, it felt like it was burning away the attachment, any cords that I had placed on me. I felt the worst part of it was when I felt something pull from my spine, and it was a cord, or I think it was a hook. To me, it felt like a hook, but as many mediums and psychics would say, it would be a cord of some sort.
Mhm.
Um, that hurt the most, and that's when I fully submerged my entire body in the bath water to cleanse myself. And I stayed underwater and prayed in my head. I felt absolute release. The pain only lasted for a few seconds. After I said my prayer and everything, it was done. It felt great. I got out of that, gave my son a bath cleansing too. Nothing like happened. I
Mhm.
did it just in case there was an attachment, or anything was trying to mess with him. I just wanted to make sure nothing like that was happening, and he was good. Um, we had probably two, two. I think it was like two dark spirits, and then five family spirits, because I know that this is at the time after my grandma passed away. So it was my grandma, my great grandma, and then my dad's mom, who was also my grandma, grandpa, which is my dad's dad, and we had stepdad, but he was her dad, or his dad, and we had them there. I could see them, and it wasn't like I could see them physically. I could see them in my head. So
Mhm.
I would look at him, and then they would just that vision appears, and they would look at me and talk to me, and when I would hear them, it'd be in my head. Sound crazy or not, it's, it's sensitive people. That's normally how they hear it,
Mhm.
is in your head rather than in your hearing it physically, which can happen as well. It's
Yeah.
possible. If they gather enough energy, they can do that. But yeah, they're always around him. They're always protecting him, everything like that. And I never yell at them for it unless they're bugging him at night. That's about it. Um, I kind of went just like everywhere with that one.
It's all right.
There's a lot. A lot happens. A lot has happened to me in my life,
Yeah.
and it's just little things here and there, and then there's big things here and there. I think like even my grandma shows up out of nowhere and just scares the crap out of me. And I feel like she does that on purpose.
Hmm.
I really do. Like, and it's normally only when my son's here, and like it would be an apparition manifestation. You
Hmm.
would see like a little bit of her face, and like, if you, that's all I need. I would just, it'd be me turning in a fast pace, and when I stop, there she'd be there, and it'd disappear, and it would just scare me because I'm not
Hmm.
expecting it. I'm not,
Yeah.
and it's always when I'm not expecting it. And she did tell me jokingly that when she died, that she would do something like this to me. So like it, to me, it verifies. It verifies it to me. We did take back to that story though of the piece paper.
Mhm.
After we did that, I kept it soaked and I let it soak for 2 days, 2 full days. The blood disappeared, the ink faded, but it was still there. I took it out, let it dry. We had more moon water and more, I brought more salt. Me and my sister went out into the woods, still around Ramblewood area, but it was like, there's a Kent Trail, which is like a public bike path, running trail, whatever you want to go up and down, do it. But there's a lot of wooded areas that surrounds the Kent Trails.
Mhm.
We went in there over by a stream, and I dug about 4 feet deep, set it down, the paper down in there, first I poured salt, some kosher salt in there, so that way it would have to lay on it. And then I put the paper in, poured a bunch of kosher salt onto it, filled it with moon water, I let it soak down. Once it soaked down, I filled it with dirt again, but mixed it with kosher salt and whatnot. And we marked it, so that way I knew where it's at. I still know where it's buried at. And the attachment, like it still comes to me from time to time. It's still there. It's not aggressive. It's not as effective anymore. But it is mostly, it lasts no more than an hour. It can't leave where it's at for no longer than an hour. And it has to go shoot back to the area of where it's buried.
Mhm.
What we did is we talked to one of our, well, not really our friend anymore, but also not necessarily our enemy. She's a witch who was helping us with positive suggestions to deal with this. And this is what was one of the suggestions she told us: with moon water, kosher salt, uh, religious blessings, because it comes off and reacts to religious things,
Mhm.
but not um, not entirely like a demonic. Not entirely a demonic force. It does feel real dark, real interdimensional,
Mhm.
but also it very well could be, a demon. Like
Yeah.
it very well could be. I've never really known what it feels like to really be in that position. Like I've heard descriptions people talk about. I've watched a lot of ghost hunting shows. Colton, stop touching that. Sorry,
Oh,
but
you're
yeah,
all right.
there's a lot of I research a lot of it. I want to be knowledgeable about what it is I'm fascinated about. It's a fascinating thing, and to know that there's not there's more to this life than just this. There's not just physical life. There's life afterwards, and I don't believe, you know, death to be death.
Yeah.
In a way, I believe it to be like a transition. You're transitioning from this life to the next, but you're transitioning from this dimension into another plane
Yeah.
of a dimension. Like it a lot of it like makes sense, but a lot of it's very confusing at the same time.
Yeah.
That's for sure. um, but yeah, it's like the spirit itself does come and interact with me sometimes. It does talk to me in my head
Mhm.
a lot when it does show up. It doesn't really put too many dark negative thoughts in my head anymore. We kind of came to a common ground, which is weird. I've never really have been able to do that with this thing in the past, to have an actual common ground, which it obeys certain rules that we've established for each
Mhm.
other. Like, I don't summon it for any reason whatsoever.
Yeah.
It wants to be around me, but I was like, no, not no. I was like, I will never summon you. I never want to be around you, not after what you've done to me
Mhm.
personally. And then stuff you try to do with my kid and my fiance. Like, me and my fiance never not together anymore. Our relationship, it sucked. It sucked. But we are still great parents, and everything that we do for him, we do reasonably. So that's a good thing. The probably the worst thing that I'm concerned about with this attachment is that it's going to try and attach itself to my son.
Yeah.
So, and I take very deep measures on that. Right now, it understands that it cannot be around my son. If it does show up, it will leave him alone. It won't touch him. So,
Mhm.
at least for now, because that whole thing is it's all tricky. It's still something that we don't fully understand. You know, that realm and how we feel.
Yeah.
But that's about it. I mean, there's a
All
lot
right.
more. There's a lot more, but I really just
All right. Well, Andrew, I have tons of questions for you if you're ready to answer them.
I'm excited.
All right. So, from the first one, so when you were at your mom's house when you were little and you went to sleep in your mom's house in your bedroom, you
Hmm.
woke up and you were in your grandma's house,
Hmm.
and neither one of them knew how you got there. So what did your mom and grandma think about that when you appeared there and disappeared from your mom?
Uh, well, mostly they try to blow it off as uh dropped off, I think.
Mhm.
Honestly, I don't really know the how I really don't remember how my mom reacted to it, because it
Mhm.
was back then. My grandma, though, I do remember because she still remembered it and we were talking about it. She thought maybe it was more like spiritual as well.
Mhm.
Like maybe um, my great 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 grandma and great 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 grandpa may have brought me, which I felt maybe it was possible.
Mhm.
Not really sure how if that was true or not, but I still feel like it was whatever what it was attached to me wanted me there. That's what I felt like.
Okay. Well, do you count that as loss of time then?
I don't really count that as lost time because I was sleeping. I didn't, I was already asleep at the time. I don't feel like I woke up and did it.
Yeah.
And then not remember any of it. But that's a good question.
Yeah, well, I asked because you were at work when you had that second incident
Mhm.
and you lost the time, but then you had a dream which played your subconscious and let you relive, like re-see everything you did consciously.
Like
So it
it
makes
felt
me,
real too in the
did it,
dream. It felt real. Like I
did
was
you
already there.
did you ever have a dream of when you were at your mom's house and went to your grandma's? Did you ever have a dream about that?
No, that's a strange thing. I didn't have a dream about that at all.
Okay.
I feel like maybe it's because I was sleeping. Maybe I dreamt it. Maybe I dreamt about it at the time, but I don't remember my dream at all back then. Like when I
Yeah.
was 4, I don't really remember my dreams at all. Um, but I mean, it's possible at that time, maybe. But as far as I know, no, I've never had a dream about it.
Do you feel like maybe you either slept, walk, or teleported? Is that
I
such a
I see now. I have questioned the sleepwalking thing, but
yeah.
I've also like my doctor. I looked at my doctor's records.
Mhm.
Um, I have no records of sleepwalking. My mom has never seen me sleepwalk. Has never caught me sleepwalking. Nobody I know has caught me sleepwalk.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and you were little, so how could you get into a locked house, you know,
exactly,
in the middle of the
exactly.
night?
And literally, we lived in it's considered a actually bad neighborhood, especially back then as well.
Yeah.
Um, but no, it was really I had no problems with with no, I had problems trying to remember it. I just don't understand how. Like I feel like it was either teleportation,
Mhm.
spiritual teleportation, or because I've seen things that like the way I would consider it would be, how they can sometimes take an object and move it from one place to another or
Yeah.
make it completely disappear altogether
Mhm.
and then eventually reappear. I feel like it was maybe something like that.
Okay.
Like it appeared in one place, but now it's at somewhere else.
There's a thing about atoms and that we're made of atoms, and something Einstein mentioned about like I don't know if I'm going to name this right, so I don't want to get in a lashback, but
No,
something like
sure.
ghost theory, which is like,
Mhm.
okay, so you're here at this point, or how about this? The cat in the box can either be alive and or dead at the same time. So you were at your mom's and at your grandma's at the same time, but when the person checked on you first is where you were going to be. Um, and and your atoms are just, that's just a weird way to look at it. But
Hmm.
I mean,
I
there's
wasn't
no
laughing at
answer.
you. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
my son just he did something funny. I'm sorry, but I
Oh,
am
you're fine.
listening.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
there's no real answer for it. You know what I mean? It could be anything, really.
yeah,
Um, Now, what's the scariest thing? You mentioned that there's a lot of things that happen in your basement and attic, but worse in the basement. What's the scariest thing that happened to you in the basement?
uh, that one's a tough one because there's like multiple that could
Name
rank the
name the
same.
top three.
Top three? Okay, I'll give you. Okay, I can give you top three. Um, top three. One when I was a kid. Actually, two. Yeah, one when I was a little kid. I was down there and I had a rocking horse. Like, oh, it was like the spring horse.
Mhm.
Like you would get on it and you could bounce around up and down and whatnot. So like it was the coolest thing to me as a kid.
Yeah.
um, it it started moving, like bouncing, up and down and moving around. And I'm like, I'm not even on it. I'm not even near it. I'm at the entrance of where the down where the stairs end. And I just turn and I look, and there's this figure just bouncing on it, and then shoots out off there into the my grandpa's I want to say it's his workshop
Mm-hmm.
area. Shot back there, and I know not to go in there. I always got a bad feeling when I walked in there. Also underneath the staircase. Underneath the staircase, you get a really bad dark feeling in a corner, and it's always in that corner. And I feel like could be like the portal there, or there's a portal in um the workshop area. At the time, at least, you can even before we like sold the house. I've made, like, I went in there and I did some recordings with my phone. I don't have the recordings anymore because it was on my old phone and it broke and nothing got transferred over.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't have any pictures of orbs or anything there. It was just audio and video of the audio.
Yeah.
And there was like nothing, no voice recorded, but you could record. I recorded the knockings I made. I was like, hey, if you're here, knock 3 times, and then right after that.
Wow.
And I was like, all right, I'm leaving. I'm gone. You're here, I'm leaving. I don't want to be here. Oh, I also asked, grandma, you're here, knock 2 times. She knocked twice. It could have been her, it could not have been her. So like I just didn't want to play with that anymore. But really the scariest thing is that is in the top 3. The voice recording or the knocking recording I had downstairs, that was pretty scary. Because it sounded aggressive. It didn't sound nice. It didn't sound like an old lady tapping, really. So my grandma could knock on the door pretty hard sometimes. There was the second one for my top 3 would definitely be, so the recording would be the third one. The second one would have to be when I was living down there. I moved from the attic to the basement. So there's an office room that was no longer an office. So moved myself in there, and first 3 nights, like I couldn't sleep. I just felt weird. It felt so bad. Like I don't even know how I could how any of my friends could sleep down there. Because when they moved in down there. I don't understand how they could. I don't understand at all. I couldn't sleep. I got maybe 3-4 hours of sleep a night, maybe. Otherwise, I was gaming out. Couldn't sleep, so I game out. Well, when I was gaming out, and I heard something from behind the wall in the wood shop area or the workshop area, and it's like the wall is not fully sealed. At the top where like the wall and the ceiling would meet, you can see up and over into the wood shop area. Well, the light came on. There's nobody in there. I didn't hear my grandma come down or anybody go up in there or go in there, and I'm the only one in the basement at the time. And nobody else is living there but me and my grandma. I go out, open the door, go down or go around, open the door, light turns off. There's a shadow figure standing all the way in the back, and it's got glowing purple gem eyes. So I'm like, okay, so it's Mops, it's you, little a-hole of my life. He is. I'm not very nice to him, but he was standing there and he just looked just mean. Just didn't look like he wanted me there.
Mhm.
I was like, okay. I moved my stuff back upstairs that next day. But I salted my door down there, so
Yeah.
and around my bed, so he wouldn't touch me, and he didn't touch me.
Hmm.
That was an experience, man. Like, I've seen some people dealing with some stuff before, and I'm like, I don't wish it upon anybody to be dealing with anything that wants to hurt you
Yeah.
or anyone in your family. But for those people that are dealing with it, there are good spirits out there that will help you if you ask for it. But you need to be careful, because just because you ask for positivity to come in, sometimes negativity sneaks in with it. So that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned from my experiences, at least.
And what's your third one of the basement?
Um, when I went down there, and it felt like somebody was just on my butt. Wherever I was going, they
Mhm.
were hovering right over me, just inches from your face, staring at you. Like, you want to just pop them in the face, get away from like, bam. And I've actually did that a few times. And then nothing there, and it would back away, and then it would go right back to it, and I'd pop back up, and it would go away, and then so like it literally gave you like fear, like real fear, like something was just like, I'm not scared of you.
Mhm.
I'm right here in your face. I will do what I want. Like, that's how I felt, and no.
Yeah.
I can come off as a tough guy. I can, and I'm a very nice guy. Can be kind of an a-hole because I for me, my friends, like, we've built each other up all the way up and broke each other all the way down, built each other all the way back up, broke each other all the way down. We can talk crap to each other all day and laugh. That's just the way we are. But like,
Yeah.
I'm naturally generally a nice person. If for some reason I come off it to you cross, it's more likely not my energy. And if it is, I'm having a bad day.
Yeah.
So one of the sucky things about being an empath.
Yeah.
Is
Now, have you had any more encounters with that shadow being with the purple gem eyes?
yeah, like I said, it does come into my life from time to time, but doesn't last any more than an hour. And then normally during that hour, it's just talking to me
Okay.
and trying to gain my trust back. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. It does this like at least 3 times a month, so at least three times out of maybe twice a week,
Mhm.
or twice one week, and then once somewhere else in the month. But
You see a difference between when you were 7 years old and you seen the Dark Protector? Do you think it's the same, or are they
same,
different? Same. Okay.
it is the same. It clarified that for me.
And what do you think it is? Do you think it's a shadow being? Do you think it's some unworldly creature? Do you think it's a
I think
ghost?
it's a dimensional creature, to be honest with me, and to be fully honest, like, it really comes off that way to me.
Okay.
And I know they're not easy to get rid of. Oh my God, you're lucky if you do. And if you do, share with the group, share with everybody.
Yes. Um, you mentioned before that there was a couple of times when you got hurt or something happened to you, and then all of a sudden you didn't feel pain, you felt like feathers or light of a feather or floating. Does that still
Kind of
happen
like,
to you?
oh, I can't remember what his name is, but it was that dude that when he smashed into the tree.
Jeff?
And
Yeah,
yeah, him.
yeah,
Oh, that was a great episode.
yeah.
Yeah, it was I can kind of relate that with that a little bit, but like not didn't feel like extraterrestrial or anything like that.
Hmm.
Um, even though I do believe in that stuff too. But it yeah, it felt like more comforting. Like like it's hard to explain. It's hard to put words into it.
Do you ever think like it's an out of body experience that you're feeling,
Mm-hmm.
where your
I have a
soul,
lot
your
of those.
conscious?
I've
Yeah.
had a lot of astral projections when I was a kid as well. I would astral, and it's only when I was sleeping I would astral project.
Hmm.
I couldn't control when I did it at night. I just did. And no, this is just water, but he spilled water everywhere. Okay.
It's all
My
right.
kid's being naughty.
You mentioned this flying bones that you were
The
seeing.
rib cage thing.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
what do you think? Did you see any facial structure on it?
No, there
No.
was no facial structure. There was no real it didn't even have like weird markings. It looked exactly like how I described it,
Yeah.
and it was see-through, transparent. It
So
was, but it
a
looked like you could touch it. And it
a
was
rib
real.
cage with wings.
Yes, and they were like, you know how the bones are laid out for the wings, how wings
Mhm.
look.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like, just like
Okay.
that.
Okay. And
Almost
what did you?
almost like pterodactyl wing. If I
Okay.
were to put a name to it,
What do you think it was?
I honestly think it was like I honestly believe it was a ship, or it could have been an entity or
Mhm.
something um, from that was in our dimension. Like
Yeah.
I do believe in UFOs. I believe in aliens. I've
Mhm.
been doing my hardest to try and communicate um, with them, but through thought,
Yeah.
like I have the CE5 protocols and stuff like that. Like there's a lot of evidence out there that shows that it works.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of trying to do that with myself and see if
Mhm.
maybe I can make communication. Um, maybe I can communicate with that, like that, because it really, like I said, that's what really opened my eyes to not just there being like spirits and whatnot, but interdimensional dimensions, being stuff like
Mhm.
that. I'm I'm open to it all. Even cryptids,
Oh yeah. Hmm.
that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, where was you when the skeletal being uh appeared, and what city and what state as well?
Michigan,
Hmm.
Cutlerville.
Okay.
I believe it was Cutlerville. It might have been just before Cutlerville, but it's in the exact same area. It's like Wyoming,
Hmm.
uh, Wyoming, Michigan. But we were in my friend's parents' backyard,
Okay.
and we were having a fire, putting and smoking. Like at first, like I thought maybe okay, maybe I'm hallucinating off weed, but no,
Yeah. Okay.
that wasn't it. I sobered up real. It surprised us. We were there goes that buzz.
Now, what kind
But
of backyard was it? Was it like was there woods? Was there desert? Like what was there?
the backyard, it's urban. It was an urban backyard. So
Okay.
like an urban area. There's little strip mall, right? A few couple strip malls and whatnot, right out on the main road. But yeah, it's surrounded by public stuff and
Okay.
city. So like it was that's why I found it weird. why it was flying so low in the tree line, because there is like a small wooded area, but it's like very thin. It's just enough to like block some wind.
Yeah.
That's about as much as there is. So like it was like, let's say on the tree line,
Mm-hmm.
it was like there,
Okay.
and it was just doing that
Okay. Mm-hmm.
all the way across, and then gone.
What did your friend think about it?
We all thought we were all sitting there like, well, it looks like an animal. It's like, it does, but do you hear anything? Do you hear any noise coming from it? I'm like, no, there's no noise coming from it.
Yeah.
Anything that we threw up towards it to see if we could make a noise, like nothing. It just went straight through it. So I'm like, it has to be, it has to be like interdimensional, something
Yeah.
that's on a different playing field than us.
Mhm.
I have no other way of explaining it. On what exactly this could be.
Now going to your grandma's house, do you think it's haunted or cursed, or what do you why
I
do you
don't
think
think
all
I don't think it's cursed. I think honestly that it is definitely haunted by something.
Mhm.
I definitely feel like there's a portal there, and I've definitely this house has been owned by us for a long, or by my family for a long time,
Okay.
but there were people that owned it before us. So I feel like something, either somebody did something there, somebody died there, which is highly possible. I mean, I didn't really go through the records or anything, like I probably should, but I also kind of don't want to know sometimes.
Yeah.
It's also possible that, like maybe my grandma or grandpa brought something home unknowingly,
Yeah.
you know. Um, could be anything really. I honestly believe that there's just a portal that opened up there. Something came through and is continuing. And has been there ever since. Well, until now.
Does your
That
mom know anything about your grandma having any paranormal experiences or anything like that?
No, well, other than the things that I've told
Oh, okay.
her, my grandma wasn't very open to any of that. She's not. She refused to believe that her house was haunted, and I understand. Nobody
Mhm.
wants to believe that their house was, haunted, especially if it's not a positive entity.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, she knew a little bit of things, just small things, not really anything too much. But my mom always also could tell that there was something there, always. And she's a stronger medium than I am, or a stronger empath than I am.
Mhm.
But for me, like I'm still just trying to figure out how my abilities work, um, how to maintain them and control them, and keep myself from being overwhelmed by other emotions that aren't mine.
Yeah. Or if I asked you, would you be able to draw or even sketch out the cylinder wooden thing,
Yeah.
the ribs in the sky,
Yep.
and possibly the being in the basement?
Yes, because I remember exactly what they look like to the T. Um, I'm not a perfect sketch artist, but can
Yeah.
give you a rough draft, and
Yeah.
it, like, literally, if I could just print it from my mind
Mhm.
for you,
Yeah.
oh, it like I want to get a painting of this dude, of
Okay.
this um the puppet,
Hmm.
because it had such a great impact on my life. And it's not that I want it for so it can, it's in my life, but it's a reminder of something that, this is what I've been up against.
Yeah.
I'm on top. it's like I didn't stand down. I still won't stand down. It tries, but I still won't stand down. And I think it'd be a great reminder, and it's for artwork, beautiful,
Mhm.
creepy and scary all at the same time.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I look forward to that. And you can even post them to the Facebook group page too, so
Yeah,
people can
absolutely,
kind of get like a gist of what you were seeing when these events happen to you.
absolutely.
Um, you mentioned something about the three scratches behind the bed. No matter where you move the bed, there you would hear scratching.
Yep.
Um, what do you think that means? What do you think that is, and what do you think it means?
I honestly think it was just um, whatever that thing that was at my grandma's
Mm,
was either messing with us or trying to just play games with us.
mhm,
I know it was trying to scare my girlfriend at the time because it succeeded, but it I know that it was definitely pushing people out of my life.
mm,
It's affected all of my relationships, all of them.
mhm.
Me, it's affected some of my family relationships, and luckily, I still have a lot of those people in my life. But it sucks. It really these things they they take a toll on you.
Yeah. You, I know you mentioned to me, told me a story that you didn't want to mention on the show. Um, did you have any supernatural things before that happening?
Things, yes.
Okay.
There's it was well not directly before, at least that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Um, but oh, I gotta grab this. But there was a few instances where like I thought maybe I saw something,
Okay.
but it wasn't like anything like I would really that I thought was important at least.
Mm,
Um, it wasn't really scary when those times happened, but it was just came off as just maybe there was nothing there to begin with. I wasn't really open at that time.
yeah.
But well, thinking wise, I wasn't open to it. But I was sensitive as all heck to everything. So like
Yeah.
I fed off people's emotions very easily.
Well, I've learned that over the year, or at least over this time period of doing this, that a lot of times that people that have supernatural things happening to them is due to a near-death experience. And then you told me about what happened to you that you don't want to talk about on here, and it kind of has like a connection because then you started having all these different things happening to you more often. So
Yeah,
maybe even enhanced it because even though you didn't die, you almost could have, and it did something like open something
it
up.
very well could be.
Yeah.
The thing also about it is the I was having experiences all the way up when I was a baby. And the
Okay.
only way I can validate that is my mom.
Hmm.
When she was living at my grandma's. She lived up in the attic, and I was just baby. We just got home, laying down in my baby crib, being a baby, sleeping, and it's nighttime. Mom wakes up. She sees two figures, two,
Hmm.
at, leaning over my crib. Um, Grandpa or my great grandpa passed away a couple nights before.
Hmm.
My great grandma passed away that night, the night she showed up at the exact time they both came to see me, and then they went over to my mom, and they were like, "We're not here to hurt you.
Yeah.
We just came to see the baby," and then they disappeared.
Huh.
Yeah, that's about as far as a is as validated experience that I've had, as far as it's gone back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has your mom seen or been visited by other things when you were a baby?
Mom, have you seen or were you visited by anything else other than great great grandpa and great 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 grandma? Remember when I was a baby?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, were you visited by anything else?
Like when we were a baby.
Yeah. That wasn't them?
Like any paranormal anything?
I've had stuff, but it's not related to you.
Oh yeah. So
as far
nothing
as-
related to me as far as
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Um,
You also said that when you first, I want to ask if it's all right. How did your grandma pass away?
the first, like they scanned her, found cancer,
Okay.
and they went in and took it out. Well,
If uterine cancer, they removed
yeah, the uterine cancer, and they removed it. Well, was it 2 weeks later?
Yeah.
2 weeks later, her whole, almost pretty much her whole body.
scanned her again, and it had spread throughout her whole
Yeah, they
body.
scanned her again 2 weeks later. It spread out through her whole body,
Oh wow.
and it was like we know that it's possible, but at the same time, I'm sitting there, and we're sitting there, and we're thinking there has to be something else
They
that,
said they got it all.
yeah, because
No.
they said they got it all.
That's pretty interesting. I know that demonic figures can sometimes carry that negativeness that kind of
Mhm.
impacts anybody who's vulnerable. I think maybe that even played a part in her cancer spreading like that.
Yep, it's very, yeah, highly. We're like 99.9999999%
Yeah.
on that.
How come you can't
Unfortunately,
go? How come you can't go back to your grandma's house
we don't own it
anymore?
anymore.
Oh, I didn't know if it
We had to sell
was
it.
okay. Let's see.
Otherwise, I would be going back there and doing sessions
Mhm,
with other people
yeah.
for evidence and
No.
stuff to support our stories, and the only way that anybody really knows
Has any of that followed you back to this house that you're in currently?
how. No. Yeah,
Um,
this house gets very well maintained. We keep that thing out of here.
that's good. That's good to know.
Yes.
All right. I think I have one more question for you. Um, you mentioned that the entity tried really hard to get in your son's room. Can you name a couple of ways of how and like be detailed a little bit about what happened?
Sure, absolutely. So yeah, this is back in Ramblewood. Um, we just saged, and well, first we salted every single room.
Mhm.
Every single room. We went through a lot of kosher salt. And let me tell you, it was worth it.
Yeah.
When we burned 2 different sages. We had regular sage, and we had what was it? Angel sage.
Mhm.
I think is what it's called. It's just sage with an added herb
Okay.
type of herb. And that's supposed to help out be stronger against demons and whatnot, and push them out. Anything that was like a demonic energy to help push it out. We did that, and this thing just came right back into the house. It did. It came right back in, but it couldn't get past our son's door. It couldn't go through the wall because we outlined the wall on the inside.
Yeah.
Like I took extra precautions on this. I do not play around when it comes to anything spiritual. It's not fun. It's not meant to be a game, really. I feel like it's supposed to be, respected and show your respect. That's all they want. And normally things turn out a lot better than what they could be if you do.
Yeah.
At least that. And yeah, they we salted the doors too and the windows. And they tried to get through the window. You could see the screen moving back and forth, and they would stop. And then it would not move at all. Even the blinds would kind of like shake with it, and then it would stop. The door, it banged on the door a few times because I outlined the inside and outside, but it was still able to make noise on the door.
Yeah.
So it couldn't get in that way. And we made sure that it was locked. So there's a theory, I guess, there's a theory that certain spiritual beings can't enter a home if a door is locked, physically locked. For some reason, I don't know what it is, but I also don't know if it's 100% true. Still researching it, still trying to figure that out. But I do know that its last attempt came into the room that we were in, which is downstairs. This was a 2-story apartment. So it had a loft and 2 bedrooms upstairs, full bathroom. Upstairs, downstairs. There's a master bedroom was downstairs, which we gave to my friend. You can have that one. We want to be right next to our son. We'll be good with that. So we actually took the worst room because before we even when we moved in, there was already a negative spirit guy there. Like, he was not happy. He was not a happy person. Called my mom the B word. It was bad. We got rid of him. He left willingly. Like, he willingly left after the stage. Like, he's fine. He never came back.
Yeah.
They were 5 other entities that would circle him, and I'm sure that was just family, but I'm always overcautious and want to make sure. But yeah, he would. Okay, so back to the story. It came into the room that we were in, and the Alexa is sitting on our table, and Alexa, turn on view camera, pulls up the camera to the bedroom. We're watching him, and he's passed out. Okay, and then we hear footsteps coming up to the table. Stops. Screen starts flickering. And then starts glitching and flickering. And then I noticed that I figured that it would try to do this. For some reason, I just thought, I should make sure I saw all the walls and make sure I saw around the camera, make a perfect circle around it, almost like not a full circle, but connected to the rest of the salt line perfectly. And because I figured, if I do that, it can't get through that, because it's straight up for some reason. So it tried to get through there. It was literally trying to push itself through there. The camera, I really wish we had this recorded. I really, really wish we did, because this is some of the most craziest experience that this is one of the craziest. It would have been such good proof.
Yeah.
Zach Baggins wouldn't even know what to do, right? Oh my God. But the camera was shaking because it was trying to get through. So like it stopped. So it stopped glitching, and the actual camera was shaking, and then it stopped. because it realized it couldn't get through there. So what it is, it shut down everything. It shut down our cameras, Alexa, turned off our TV, turned off all the lights, it turned everything off.
Oh, wow.
And then, and it couldn't get through there anyways through the electricity, but it got into the electrical system and turned everything off. Even our neighbors downstairs, their power went out too. And they experienced whatever that was or what it was as
Yeah.
well quite often. They were also having relationship problems. Same ones that I was having.
Yeah. I wonder if that played a part. Maybe there was something that was built there that got knocked down a while back that was connected.
Well, that's very possible,
Mhm.
and I've taken that in consideration. But I've also looked around Ramblewood,
Yeah.
and there are people there that are doing dark work around those areas. You will see satanic symbols
Mhm.
around there. Like it's not a good feeling.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you this is one of the strangest things. I've never seen this before.
Mhm.
We go to move in, there's a deck. So okay, you're going to walk in, there's a small deck right up here, and well, there's a little hole in the bottom of it, from the wood, just part of the wood. It just isn't, it's just missing that piece.
Yeah.
And there's webbing, and there's a dead bird there, and it's not even like we lived there for a whole year, and it stayed there that
Mhm.
whole year. It didn't move even during the windiest days. I thought, maybe it'll finally fall off. No, it didn't deteriorate either. There
Mhm.
was no deterioration, no rotting smell, nothing like that. And it was so strange, so weird.
That is weird.
One of our witch friends said it was a very bad omen.
Mhm.
But it doesn't mean it's gonna ruin your life unless you live there. And I was like, oh, we live here. No, I just thought I would try to be funny. I'm like, well, thanks for trying to make light out of a dark situation.
That's funny.
But yeah, like I do believe, like, if you're gonna go ghost hunting, bring a
Mhm.
witch with you or somebody that's sensitive, because they will normally bring, if you ask them, they will bring protection stuff
Mhm.
in case you need it. So I think they're really great to work with, as long as you are both honest with everybody, because sometimes you get those crazy people and they're doing something you don't want them to do.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah.
Well, Andrew, I appreciate for having you on, man, and telling your stories. Would you like to give any closing comments and advice to the viewers for any experiences they may go through?
Sure. If you're having any problems, talk to somebody. I know it's hard. I know you feel like you're gonna sound crazy to somebody. Talk to them. Talk to somebody. You can talk to Anthony. Talk to me. Talk to any of us. We'll listen. I'll listen. And just be safe. And
All right.
that's it.
All right. Well, thank you, Andrew, for coming on, and it's been great hearing your stories. But other than that, thank you guys for watching. This has been another episode of Real Supernatural Encounters. We'll see you guys later. Bye.
See ya.